Have you ever felt slightly different from the people around you? Not superior, not inferior, just separate. As if you were standing in the same room, but experiencing it from a deeper layer. Thinking more seriously, feeling responsible earlier than others, carrying questions inside that no one else seemed to ask. You may have felt older than your age, or too intense, or too reflective for your environment. If this sounds familiar, and you were born on the 9th, the 18th, or the 27th, there is a pattern worth understanding. These dates often carry psychological depth from early life. Not drama, not mysticism, but awareness, observation, internal processing. Let's begin with childhood. Children with strong 9 energy are often quiet observers. They watch adults carefully. They listen between the lines. They sense emotional undercurrents in the family. You may have noticed that as a child you were unusually sensitive to tone, to fairness, to inconsistency. When other children were reacting, you were analyzing. But this depth can create isolation. If your environment did not recognize your inner world, you may have learned to withdraw, not because you lacked confidence, but because you felt unseen. Emotional withdrawal is not always dramatic. It can look calm, polite, self-contained. Inside, however, it can create a belief no one really understands how I think. Over time, this can turn into independence, sometimes healthy, sometimes protective. Many people born on the 9th, 18th, or 27th learn early to rely on themselves. They may become the mature child, the responsible one, the one who does not create problems. But maturity without emotional mirroring creates distance. And distance, if not addressed, follows into adulthood. Now, let's speak about the pure 9. 9 carries perspective. It sees patterns. It seeks meaning. In early life, this may show as boredom in traditional systems. School can feel repetitive. Authority may feel limited. You may have felt frustrated when your questions were not welcomed, when you were told to follow rules without explanation. In your late 20s, many with 9 energy begin questioning direction. You may have achieved stability, but still feel something missing. A quiet sense that life must include purpose, not just function. In the mid-30s, there is often a deeper recalibration, career shifts, relationship reassessment, a desire to align your external life with internal values. Around 45, if development has been conscious, 9 energy becomes mentorship, teaching, guiding, not loudly, but steadily. If development has been avoided, the same energy can turn into criticism, intellectual distance. I know better. The difference is embodiment. Practical development for 9 is simple, but not easy. First, speak your perspective even when it feels uncomfortable. Withdrawal protects you, but it also isolates you. Second, choose environments that value depth. You do not need to shrink your seriousness. You need to place it wisely. Third, turn analysis into contribution. Write, teach, mentor. Share lived experience, not just theory. Now let's move to the 18th. 18 carries intensity, identity combined with power. In early life, this can look like strong will, strong opinions, a desire to stand out. But beneath that strength, there is often vulnerability. You may have felt that you had to prove yourself, that being average was not acceptable, that you must achieve more to justify your place. This creates inner pressure. In childhood, this can look like competitiveness, or defensiveness, or perfectionism. In the late 20s, 18 often pushes hard. Career focus, achievement, control. There can be success, but also exhaustion. You may set high standards and quietly judge yourself when you fall short. You may struggle to ask for help. Vulnerability can feel dangerous. Dependence can feel weak. In the mid-30s, burnout is common if balance is ignored. Emotional fatigue, physical stress, a realization that constant control is unsustainable. Around 45, if growth has occurred, 18 softens. Power becomes influence instead of pressure. Identity becomes secure instead of defensive. If growth has not occurred, rigidity increases. Pride hardens. The key lesson for 18 is learning that strength does not require tension. Practical development for 18. First, practice cooperation consciously. Allow others to contribute. Shared responsibility reduces internal pressure. Second, create a healthy relationship with vulnerability. Speak about struggle before it becomes burnout. Third, channel intensity into creativity. Art, design, strategy. Building something meaningful transforms pressure into expression. Now the 27th. 27 carries psychological refinement. It understands systems. It sees long-term consequences. In childhood, this may look like seriousness. A child who prefers deeper conversations, who may feel misunderstood by peers. In the late 20s, 27 often moves into structured roles: medicine, education, leadership, consulting, any field where organization and clarity matter. In the mid-30s, responsibility increases. Others rely on you. Your decisions carry weight. Responsibility without reflection becomes quiet burden. Around 45, maturity appears when experience turns into wisdom. Not information, wisdom. The desire shifts from success to legacy. 27 develops fully when it accepts that leadership includes humility. Practical development for 27. First, schedule reflection. Depth needs space. Without reflection, responsibility becomes overload. Second, delegate. Seeing the big picture does not mean doing everything yourself. Third, mentor intentionally. Share structure. Teach systems. Pass forward what you have organized. Now let me share something honest that many people do not talk about. There is a hidden trap in 9 energy. It is intellectual distance. You understand life very well. You see patterns in relationships. You predict outcomes. You analyze motivations. But sometimes you observe instead of participate. You may hesitate to fully enter experience because analysis feels safer than vulnerability. Understanding becomes protection. You can explain emotions, but avoid expressing them. You can advise others, but delay your own risks. Over time, this creates emotional isolation, not because you lack connection, but because you stand slightly outside your own life. Depth without participation becomes separation. The mature path of 9 energy is not only to understand life, but to live it fully, to step in, to risk imperfection, to allow experience to teach you, not only thought. Across all 3 dates, 9th, 18th, 27th, the central theme is embodiment. You may have felt different early in life. You may have withdrawn. You may have pushed too hard. You may have carried more than others noticed. Difference is not the goal. Integration is. Your birth date reveals tendencies, not limitations. In early life, you observe. In your 20s, you test identity. In your 30s, you recalibrate. Around 45, you consolidate wisdom. These are patterns, not rigid rules. The real question is simple. Are you living your depth consciously? Are you using your seriousness as a bridge or as a wall? Are you allowing responsibility to mature into guidance? Wisdom is not measured by what you know. It is measured by how you live. You cannot change your birth date, but you can choose how you express it. And that choice, repeated daily, quietly shapes your life. I'll see you in the next video.